welcome to the Designer Tech channel. This is for creators or designers who want to do things for their projects. Use technology to make their projects a reality, whether that's through something like the Unity game engine, to make mobile apps or to make applications that'll run on a Mac or PC. That then work with other things, whether it's using Arduino, using something like augmented reality, touch display, the interaction, real tangible interactions. So I work part-time at a university teaching this kind of technology to designers in the design school. And so this channel is partly there to support that, but also to share the same sort of thinking in general and just to make some information available. Okay, so today this particular video series is about controlling the Unity UI or UI user interface, that is, in Unity using code where you could change the layout. One of the nice things that was added to Unity over the last maybe couple of years was TextMesh Pro, which originally was an add-on sold through the Unity Asset Store. And TextMesh Pro gives you the ability to add fonts and have them render really nicely in the Unity game engine. It lets you automatically, you can basically turn on or off the ability for the fonts to adjust based on the bounding box of where the text is rendered on the screen. And that's very, very useful because, as you can imagine, when you have your phone and you go from landscape to portrait mode, the screen dimensions effectively change. So when you can use things like that automatic font size control, that can obviously help the application adjust and still render a not only a useful user interface, but one that looks good. And that's what TextMesh Pro provides. Now, the thing is, you may have reasons to control layout, and it's also worth understanding Unity's UI tools that have been there for a number of years now allow for some rich user interactions to be built. So obviously you've got buttons and text fields and things like that, but the layout can actually be quite adaptive. But it's a little bit, because it has some complication, because depending on how you set it up, it will change the way that it adapts. And so you can bind part of the UI to, say, an edge or to a corner, or you can make it just completely adapt. So you might have a parent panel and you might make it so it sort of flexes and stretches with that parent panel, which, like I said, is great when you have devices that are potentially changing the resolution in terms of what's the width and the height. And so it means that designing in the Unity editor requires someone to understand what the how the rectangle of that user interface is defined. But then also, if you want to program it and you want to change it on the fly, then it gets a bit more interesting. And it's not rocket science, but there's a few things to understand. Okay, so in this series, I'm going to demonstrate a number of components that I've built. The components are, so the code components are in a GitHub project, and I'll provide the link in the description for each of the videos, including this introduction. And you'll be able to have a look at the code, and you'll find there are some utility classes that you can reuse, and the components you'll be able to reuse. Because I'm using the 2019.3 version of Unity, and you might have a different version, I've taken my scene files and I've taken them sort of out of the live part of the project, and I have zipped them up. So if you're using 2019.3, or if you just want to try to use those scene files, you're welcome to do so. But I've zipped them and sort of kept them out of the live part of the project so that it won't cause problems for you. And hopefully through the videos you'll see how to apply them in the version of Unity that you're using. But you're welcome to try the scene files that I have created. Okay, you're probably wondering, well, what do these components do? So let me give you a quick demo, and then you know what the rest of the series is about, and then you can look at each of the videos to understand more. So let's have a quick demo now. Okay, so there's basically two scenes that you will find in the zip file. This particular one is TMP for TextMesh Pro programming, and it demonstrates being able to set or clear a property on all of the TextMesh Pro objects in under a panel. So this expandable panel has the Resizer component, which is one of the custom components that I've written. In there you'll see that there's this toggle, which is auto size text. If I toggle it on, then when I hit play, it's going to make sure all of these TextMesh Pro objects have their font size, auto font size. This will be ticked if I tick it on at the actual panel that has the Resizer component. So the Resizer component reaches down into all of the children and turns that on automatically. So it's a demonstration of how to manipulate TextMesh Pro objects, from a parent. Okay, but it does more than that. There's also image and the other things to say both have a rescaler component, and that does something else. So let's first of all have a look at the Resizer. So I'll demonstrate that, then I'll demonstrate the Rescaler, and then we'll have a look at the other scene. So remember, I'm just giving you the quick demo so you can see what this video series is about, and whether, of course, you want to look at the other videos in the series. Okay, so now the Resizer, this component is not really something you'll want to reuse, but you might want to look at and pull apart and take bits of it, particularly where it's like I said, controlling the child TextMesh Pro objects. So what it's doing, just to show how to manipulate a RectTransform, it's taking this expandable panel object and it's literally just swinging it between values of min and max, which you can see here under the component. You've got expand it. You've got min and max values here, and you have the speed, so you can change the speed, and you can. So if we turn on auto size, we can see live that it immediately affects these TextMesh Pro objects, and you can see that they're adjusting. If I click on one of them, as the box changes, you can see the font size stays within the box and grows to naturally fit the box. And you can see over here that the font size is actually changing between sort of 68 up to 72 point font or pixel font. And the same sort of thing's happening over here, because it's by turning it on at the Resizer, it's done it for the others. And so now I've turned that off. Now they're back to a fixed font size, and you can see it's even making the text wrap as the box gets smaller in order to handle the fact that the font was too big to fit in that box. Okay, so that is what the Resizer does. And now let's have a look at what the Rescaler will do for us. So the Rescaler has a scale factor, and it has padding, and it also provides these functions to take that object and to shove it into the top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left of the panel, the parent panel, but also it allows it to be restored to its original position. So that's what these buttons are here for. So if I do top right, it's pushed up to the top right. If I do top left, it goes to top left, bottom right, and if I hit reset, it's back to normal. So this is demonstrating a few things. It's demonstrating how to use pivot and how to change the way the RectTransform component, which is in every UI element, you can actually use the RectTransform to, so for instance with the image, we can see the origin of the image is over on the right hand side of the image. And let me stop it so we don't have to chase it around the screen. We can see that it's actually controlled by the pivot, and you have here different ways to pin, to anchor the image. And so what's happening here is the Rescaler is giving you different ways to anchor, and it will under code control, you can change how it's anchored and what the distance is. So this -10 is based on so this padding will basically let you pin it and have it at a certain distance from the top or the right hand side if it's up the top right. If it's the top left, then it'll be 10 pixels from the top and the left, and so forth. So for instance, I can change this to be 30, and I could make the scale say 0.35 just to make it something different. I can hit play, and then if I do top left, not there, down here, this will be 30 pixels here, and we can see when I click on the image that indeed it's 30 pixels from the left and 30 pixels down from the top. And if I bottom left here, then we can see again it's image, click on that, it's 30 pixels in from the left, and it is 30 pixels from the bottom, and we can see that the pivot's changing accordingly. So, and then I can hit, not there, then I can hit reset here, and it gets restored to its original size. Don't save. Here's the animatable layout, and so this is a different scene. Now this one I like. I thought about this one quite a bit, and I really wanted to demonstrate this. So this component would be fairly reusable. It lets you basically move text to the left or right or across a panel. So let's have a look. So basically, first of all, it's laid them out according to the control, what's defined in the actual component, so you can control the height of each of the child objects or objects that are within control of the animatable layout component. If I hit collapse, they will collapse to the left, and that's because in the component, let me just find it, it'll be the UI panel that has it. We can change it from left to right, and if I now expand and then hit collapse, then it'll collapse to the right. We can change the collapse or expand speed, make it 6. So, I can make it 10. And it's a fair bit faster if I make it 20. It's almost imperceptible. 12 might be good. Yep. So then the point is that you can control these, and you could actually set up 2 such objects and make some of the text go to the left and some go to the right when you want to expand or collapse. So that could be useful for a bunch of different reasons. Okay, so those are the components. So you've got the Resizer, the Rescaler, and the animatable layout. Those are the 3 components. There's a whole bunch of utility classes that these components use. They demonstrate how to programmatically control the RectTransform and the layout, and then also shows you how to reach into children TextMesh Pro objects and change a property of that. It doesn't do a lot with TextMesh Pro because actually TextMesh Pro kind of automates a lot for you, and it's really, you would just want to change a few properties in TextMesh Pro. So having seen how to do one, you get the idea of how to do it for others. Okay, so that's what the series is about. In each of the videos we pull these apart, look at the code, try to explain how the code works, and obviously that'll help you look at the GitHub project and pull that apart and understand that, and hopefully use it in your own projects. The code is licensed under the MIT license, so you're free to use it. It's nice if you acknowledge use of this particular project, but at the end of the day there's nothing stopping you using it in any project you like. Okay, so I hope you like the sound of the series. I hope you check out the videos. Feel free to like and to subscribe to the channel and see any new videos as I publish them. Thank you for checking out this intro.